There's few things I can describe like that. It is sad. Again, it's just a silver lining, because they've lost the person that might mean the most to them in the world. That person's gone now, but at least I have that. So, I want to share something. In the previous video, I've talked about what I'm doing. I've given some information what I'm trying to achieve with this channel, why it's there. What I haven't talked about is the real reason I'm passionate about finances, why I'm passionate about investing, why it's so important to me to have financial independence. So, I've had a few health scares and a few life-changing events. I'm still here. I'm thriving in a sense, but there were moments when this was less clear for me and for others around me. Now, I'm not going to share the experiences of others. I was in that part of the industry. I was always looking outwards. I was giving examples of what happened to people around me. For some reason, maybe because I'm always looking at what other people are doing in ways to help them, ways to improve their lives, I didn't really reflect on my own negative experience, my own health scare. So I share that with people now, especially in my social circle and with colleagues, but I didn't share it with clients. That's one thing I would change about what I did when I was in the industry. I do think I would have reached more people. I would have protected more families if I told that first-hand story. And what it was when I was 15, I woke up one day and there was something different about my leg. I remember going to school and people looking at it and saying, what has happened? Like during PE I was there and they're like, why does it look like you've got... Actually, I don't want to be too graphic. I'll tell you what people said. They said, why does it look like you have two knees? To which I said, I'm supposed to have two knees. And they were like, yeah, not on one leg. So that's essentially what it was. There was something there in my leg that wasn't supposed to be there. I remember going to the GP and him reassuring me and saying, don't worry, it's not a bone, because it felt hard like a bone. And then of course, he x-rays it. It was a tumour. Just had a tumour there in my leg, 15 years old, right there, really close to my knee. Now, it wasn't cancerous. It was a benign tumour, so they were able to remove it without any complication. So we fought, and I went about my regular life. Things were a bit different because it wasn't a very complicated procedure. I was able to walk on it again after just a couple of weeks. What was different was my actual walk. Since then, I've never really been able to walk quite upright. I always walk with a bit of a slant. My gait, no matter how much I try, my gait's always slightly contorted because of the amount of bone that was removed, the amount of tissue. Doesn't stop me from working out, doesn't stop me from running, doesn't stop me from swimming. And all, for the most part, physical activities aren't different for me. However, as I entered my 30s, I started to see the knock-on effect of having a misaligned gait. I went for physio and all sorts of things to correct it, and it's still off. And that led to chronic back pain. So for me, I can't sit in a chair for long periods of time. I can't stand for long periods of time without large amounts of pain. It's one of those things I have to also declare. So when I bought the house that I'm currently living in and I renewed and updated my insurances, I had to mention the tumour that was removed. So of course now I've got many exclusions, and I had to also mention the back pain. Now, I'm a strong believer in insurance. I'm probably one of the biggest advocates for insurance you'll ever meet. I believe in it wholeheartedly. And even though I'm no longer someone who works directly with those companies, and you're not going to find any links to any insurance companies in the description of this video, or any videos I do, I don't think. I do firmly believe that everyone who doesn't have the money already saved up should get insurance. So some people say insurance is betting on yourself to lose. I never saw it that way. I saw it as having a safety blanket. So having a bit of a buffer zone. So if you were to have an unexpected event, insurance pays out. And now you have one less thing to worry about. You have a serious health scare, something that might be terminal. Touch wood, it doesn't happen, but you have one of those unfortunate circumstances. You know that your family and the people you care about have funds in place to make up for the income that you are no longer able to bring in. And that peace of mind is what I've been fighting for. It's what I currently have. But there's so many people who don't know about this. A lot of times I'd have a client sat across from me and I'd say to them that we can't insure you because they've already been diagnosed. And that was a typical red flag. People will walk into the bank looking for a mortgage. People walk into the bank looking for a loan. They walk in the bank looking to take out investments. That happens. What they didn't do often was come into the bank saying, I need life insurance, or I need critical illness insurance, or I need accident and sickness insurance. That doesn't often happen. Some people do, especially if they took out a mortgage recently and they thought, actually, I don't have life insurance to cover the house in case something happens to me. I want to make sure my family have a house if something was to happen to me and they don't lose it. Some people come in that scenario, but for the most part, they don't come in saying, I want critical illness insurance. And typically when they do, to me, it normally means, oh, they've been diagnosed with something. Like I've had people who've come in who've had the worst news they could possibly hear. They now know their expiry date or have an idea of when that is. At that point, you're not going to get insurance. You can get it when you're young and healthy, because insurance companies, they're making a wager. They're making a wager that you will take out this policy and never need it. Guess what? That's the good news. It's great to never need it. It means that horrible thing has never happened to you. It means that you were there with your family and your loved ones. So in a way, you've won. In fact, you have won. How have you not won? Of course, if you do use the policy, that's the silver lining. That's not something to celebrate. It means that terrible event has happened, but at least your family has peace of mind that after you expire. I don't want to be morbid. It was hard being in the industry because you'd have people cry. I don't think I went more than 2 consecutive days without someone crying across from me in this industry when I was working in protection. Never went more than 2 days without someone crying. Sometimes myself, because it hits hard when you're hearing these things. And again, I won't talk about people around me where this has happened. I will say you get initiated in the industry the first time someone comes in and claims on a policy you've sold them. Now, I know some people don't like people in the insurance industry. They want to say all kinds of negative things about them. I had to deal with it. A lot of times my friends would say, why are you trying to sell us insurance? And bear in mind, most of my time in the insurance world, I was working through a bank. I wasn't independent. So I had no reason to try to get friends and family to sign up for anything. There was no bonus, there was no commission. It was just me trying to inform people of the risks. What happens if you're not here? And when your first time a client comes in, or in this case the partner of a client, their spouse or their child, with that policy to claim, there's few things I can describe like that. It is sad. Again, it's just a silver lining, because they've lost the person that might mean the most to them in the world. That person's gone now, but at least they have that sum of money. At least they can still go to bed in the same house. At least they can still send their child to uni, or at least they can still pay off all their bills and enjoy that aspect of their retirement. It's still sad. It doesn't stop being sad. It's just a silver lining. Just that extra bit of protection to get you, to have that one less thing to think about. Because I don't want to give away locations, but a large portion of the plans I did were funeral plans. Do funeral plans for people, and that was a difficult conversation. A conversation people don't like having. People don't like talking about a world that doesn't include them. They don't like talking about that last chapter and the end of that chapter. But they also don't want to leave the responsibility on their offspring. The one question I was asked a lot was, can your debt be passed on to your spouse or someone else? And no, it doesn't directly get passed on to them. However, it does get taken out of your estate. So if you have things that you want to leave to friends and family that you've explicitly listed in your will, but you also have massive debts because you've got an expensive funeral that needs to be paid for, or you've taken out a loan that hasn't been paid off, or you have a large mortgage on your home or an additional home, you can't leave that to someone if it hasn't been paid for, or if your other debts offset it. You're in a situation where you've paid off your house, but you haven't paid off your loan, and now your house is being sold, or a portion of your house is being sold to cover that loan. Then now your offspring don't get it. You think, oh, that loan's not going to be passed on to them, the debt will die with me. It's a bit of a grey area. What is more clear is if you have a house, for example, and you pass on and it hasn't been paid for fully, there's still a mortgage, whether joint or on your own, you can't pass that house on. And that's not always obvious to people. They think, well, I've been paying for this house for X amount of years, there's only 15 grand on it, I can leave it to my son, I can leave it to my daughter or my wife. When you move on to the next stage, that debt still needs to be settled, and you don't want your offspring to have to cover it if a small policy would have. I didn't mean to focus on either of those for as long as I have in this video. I don't have many regrets in life. I'm fortunate enough to say I don't have many regrets. If I do have any regrets, one of them is not getting this message across to people I care about when it mattered. Yeah. I can't think of many more things I regret more than that. Top regret, hands down. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope this information was useful. Thank you for allowing me to share these remarks with you. With my channel, I'm always trying to open up a conversation. If anyone wants to share any stories or has any comments or concerns, just write a comment below and we can have a fun discussion. Maybe not so fun in this instance, but we can have something to talk about. Thanks again.